So a little bit of hiking this morning. Look at this view. Snow on the mountains here and overlooking Boda. Unbelievable. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. So it is game day and many more Boda Glimt flags. If you saw my video yesterday, you will know that everywhere I went yesterday there were flags displayed. Anyway, game day. Boda Glimt v Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League semi-final second leg. What a huge game it is for Spurs, one of our biggest in our history. And 6 years ago today, ironically, Spurs, in that dramatic comeback in Ajax Amsterdam, put us into a Champions League final. I tell you what, 6 years later, wouldn't it be nice to see Spurs go into the Europa League final to play either Manchester United or Athletic Club Bilbao. Spurs need this. We need a trophy. We haven't won a European trophy since 1984. We haven't won a domestic trophy since 2008. I tell you what, today could be a very, very special day. 3-1 up from the first leg, but these players have got to give absolutely everything today. Yes, we're playing on a plastic pitch, but, you know, sometimes you just need to adapt to what is in front of you. When I looked at the capacity, 8,270 Bodø Glimt Stadium, that is actually smaller than the likes of Raith Rovers and York City. And even Carlisle United have double the capacity of Boda Glimt. It's going to be an interesting night, but as I said, the Tottenham Hotspur players must give absolutely everything to get us into this European final. And by the way, it's 4 degrees here. So when I'm on these European aways, I do some interesting things, some very interesting things. Now, although it is 4 degrees, and I know some of you will be going, what are you doing? But I'm actually going to go hiking up a mountain to go and see the great views of Boda. So I've been told if I walk 30 to 40 minutes, I'm going to see some wonderful views. Snow. So you probably won't be surprised, not many people hiking up here this morning. Just saw one Boda Glimt fan coming towards me. He said, "Good morning." I said, "Hello." I said, "Are you going to the game tonight?" And he said, "No, couldn't get a ticket." I said, "How are you feeling about it?" And he said, "Well, we have the advantage." And I said, "How do you work that out? We're 3-1 up." He said, "But we have a pitch that you don't like to play on. We have a pitch that is going to give us the advantage." Wow. I've got to say, this is certainly a workout. If you do visit Boda to do this, just watch where you're treading. A lot of sinking grass. So now going downhill, and the signs have disappeared. So like I said on yesterday's video, the population here, 42,000. So I'm now going to see if I can go another way to fast track down. This does actually look like a faster route to get down. If you do visit here, just make sure you wear the right footwear and take it nice and easy. And before anyone asks, no polar bears. I did actually ask the reception staff at the hotel, will I see polar bears up there? Because a lot of people have mentioned it to me, and the guy hysterically laughing and then serious face and went, no, never ever have I seen any polar bears or heard about any polar bears being up the mountain. So I hope that answers the question you may have. And interestingly, the hotel staff are all Boda fans. I think everyone who lives here, who works here, is a Boda fan. And they all seem really confident about this game. I haven't heard one of them. I know it's been quiet on the streets, and I know that it's been quiet in all of the videos that I've put out so far, but whenever I have seen people, I've stopped and spoke to them. And of course, everyone is really, really looking forward to the game. And not one of them have said that they feel nervous about it. Not one of them have come out and said that they feel like they're going to go out. They all feel really, really confident that they are going to get to the final. But of course, as we heard Ange Postecoglou yesterday, he seems very, very confident as well in Spurs going to the final. And let's hope that we do go all of the way to Bilbao. And the final takes place in just 13 days' time. So, yeah, you know, we could end the season. We could end this disaster of a season in the Premier League with a Europa League trophy. But the players, like I said earlier, the players have just got to grab this opportunity. Look at this for a view again. And like I said yesterday, their flags are absolutely everywhere. Such lovely houses here in Boda as well. So that's where I was about 5 minutes ago. So just used the bus here in Boda. Cost about £4.30. Took us from the mountains back to the centre. So just walking through a shopping centre, and as I said yesterday, the flags are everywhere. So after a very energetic morning, I'm now back at the hotel. Got a couple of media interviews to do before the big game. I'll be talking to Adrian Charles very soon from BBC 5 Live, and then we'll be going on Sky Sports and TalkSport talking about the Boda Glimt v Tottenham Hotspur game in the Europa League semi-final, second leg. Come on, you Spurs.
Football, big night of Europa League action here on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra as Premier League underachievers Man United and Spurs try and make the final of the Europa League against each other in their second leg semi-final. Spurs travel to the north of Norway to face Bodø stroke Glimt, defending a 3-1 lead from the first leg. The former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger has stirred the pot a bit, claiming the winners of the Europa League shouldn't be given a Champions League spot, which is currently what lifting the trophy brings. The Spurs manager, Mr. Postecoglou, is giving that short shrift.
Spurs does crazy things to people. You put that club into any sentence or any issue, and invariably they all come out and try and diminish as much as they can. Why wasn't it an issue before and it's an issue now? Don't understand what the difference is.
And one of the few hundred Spurs fans to have made the long journey is Chris Cowlin from the Spurs Chat podcast, who watches a frightening amount of Tottenham Hotspur, if you ask me. Chris, so how did you get there?
Hi, Adrian. Good afternoon to you. 2 planes, actually, from Gatwick to Oslo and then Oslo to Boda. It's been very straightforward, actually, but it's very cold. It's 4 degrees here, but hopefully the trip is going to be well worth it. Of course, we go into the second leg, 3-1 up.
So what's the place like?
Oh, it's very, very quiet. It's very clean. The people are extremely friendly. You know, the population here is 42,000, and when you think of you know, the capacity of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 62,850. So to give you a better idea of the capacity of their stadium, 8,270. York City, Exeter, Raith Rovers, Leyton Orient, Grimsby, they have bigger stadiums than Bodo Glimt, who are going to be hosting this Europa League semi-final. And even Carlisle, they have double capacity of at their stadium with Bodo Glimt. So that's to give you a better idea of how small it is here.
Okay, a small stadium in a small town of which we know little, and you're 3-1 up from the first leg. It's absolutely nailed on, isn't it?
Nothing is nailed on when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur, but I tell you what, the players have got to grab their opportunity. We have to go into that final, and we have to be, you know, thinking that we're going to lift this trophy. It's been a very, very dismal league season this year. We've been riddled with injuries, and of course, you know, this week we've been told that Bergwijn is out now for the rest of the season. Madison and Son hasn't travelled either, so our creative players are missing ahead of this big tie. But this is not going to be an easy game. And interestingly, I took a hike up one of the mountains earlier today, and I bumped into only one Boda fan, and he said morning, and he said we're feeling very confident today. And I said, really? And he said, yes, we are in complete control of this tie. And I said, how do you work that out? We're 3-1 up. He said, the plastic pitch. You guys are not going to be liking that plastic pitch. We are in control of this tie. But as I said, the Spurs players, they need to grab this opportunity because it's not going to come along very often. And
did you find a cosy bar wherein to watch the Arsenal semi-final last night, all you Spurs fans?
Well, I tell you what, you talk about difficult ties in Europe. Just ask Arsenal how they do in Europe. You know, they don't find it easy.
No.
But I'm not interested in what they're doing. You know, I just focus on what Tottenham are doing.
But you go to every game, don't you? I mean, you went. When was it you went to Australia to see a friendly against Newcastle United? That's madness.
Yeah, we finished the season at Sheffield United. I literally drove down to Heathrow and made the game by a matter of hours to Melbourne, Australia. Went 25 hours, but you know, everyone has got their weird and wonderful ways about them, and following Tottenham Hotspur is mine. So I follow the club home, away, all around the world, and also follow a lot of the youth teams as well, and the Spurs Women. So yeah.
Would you ever miss a first team game?
Never.
When's the last one you missed?
I think it was about 15 years ago, and it's got to be a pretty good reason for me to miss a game. You know, if it's family birthdays or whatever, we postpone them and we do it another day. But,
I mean, do you get any stick from this from your family?
Absolutely. But I think everyone's used to it now. But, you know, like I said, everyone's got their weird and wonderful ways. Spurs is mine, and I'm never, ever going to miss a game, especially such a high-profile game like this.
Is this the furthest north you've ever watched Tottenham Hotspur?
I think so. It's one of the coldest places I've visited, I must say. But I have no issues at all. If Spurs say they're suddenly playing in South Korea, Australia, Thailand, Singapore, whatever, wherever they play, I'll book the. And
will they even need floodlights tonight at this time of year?
Well, interestingly, Adrian, I landed about 10:30 last night, and it's such a small place. You can literally walk out from the airport and you literally bump into the stadium, you know, going into the town centre. It's only a very, very short walk, 15 minutes or so. And I was passing the stadium at 11 p.m. and I took a very, very clear video and pictures. It was very, very clear. It was very light.
Okay. Interesting. Well, look, I'll speak to you tomorrow, but it hardly matters whether you win or lose. You'll be at the next game, whatever it may be.
Well, we've got to win. Okay. As I say, we've got to take this opportunity. It'd be great to put a trophy in the cabinet. All
right. Well, I'm rooting for you, which is normally the kiss of death. So, but let's see. Perhaps I'll get hold of you tomorrow. Chris Cowlin, thanks very much for joining us from the Spurs Chat podcast. It's just gone 1:30.
And Tottenham fans may just be booking their tickets to Bilbao.
Tottenham need to win it without a shadow of doubt, and it would mean a lot to them.
That will save an awful season.
Chance maybe for Saltness. Can he get a shot away? Yes, he can. It deflects, and it finds the far corner. And maybe this semi-final isn't over.
The only negative is obviously conceding that goal.
Puts a different slant on this game now. One moment like that.
We've seen this time and time again where they've been completely on top and then it feels like the attention wanders.
Tough place to go. Different surroundings, different pitch.
There is no European football unless we win the Europa League.
They can change the whole season.
A title is always more important than any position in any league.
If you win Europa League, mate, it's an unbelievable season for Tottenham. They are just so desperate to get that first trophy in 17 years. And I do wonder if that desperation might actually work against them.
Anything you achieve in life usually comes with a struggle. I've been fighting my whole career. I'll continue to fight till I'm told to stop.
How will the story end?
Well, how the story's going to end is largely dependent on what happens in this Europa League. And before the game, Tottenham boss Ange Postecoglou says Spurs does crazy things to people. Arguably, he is evidence of that, but he was responding to a suggestion from former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger that the winners of the Europa League shouldn't automatically qualify for the Champions League. Spurs are 3-1 up, ahead of their semi-final second leg away at Bodø Glimt this evening, live here on TalkSport 2, and he's unsure why this debate's cropping up right now.
Well, I mean, that's a debate that's been raging for years, mate. Like, at least the last 8 days. I've never heard that before. So, I've said it before, mate. Spurs does crazy things to people. It does. You put that club into any sentence or any issue, and invariably they all come out and try and diminish as much as they can. Why wasn't it an issue before and it's an issue now? What's the difference? I don't understand what the difference is. The competition. Last year, fifth didn't get you into Champions League. This year it does. What does that mean? There were competition rules, and the rules say the winner goes into... And it's not the first year, and there is an asterisk against it that you have to do something else as well. But it's Spurs, mate. They love it. Oh, they love it. You love it. Well, you know, I don't want to go down that road because I've got a great respect for Arsene. He's one of the legends of the game. But it does crazy things to people, mate. I love it. Bring it on.
Spurs does crazy things to people, like fans travelling away to Norway to sit in a 9,000-seater stadium, one of 404, I hear. Delighted to welcome in Chris Cowlin from the Spurs Chat Pod, who is out in Bodø. How are you, Chris?
Hello, Max. Very well. Thanks so much for having me on. You wouldn't believe, actually, where I'm doing this interview from.
Go on, tell us.
There is a training pitch right next to the stadium, and I'm sat in the dugout doing this interview with you.
That is absolutely brilliant. Can you set a little bit of the scene other than where you are? What's it like out there? Is it freezing? Is it sort of light at 1 o'clock in the morning? You know, what's the stadium like? Tell us a little bit about where you are, other than the dugout of the training pitch.
Yeah, well, it's a very, very small place. The population here is only 42,000. And to put it into perspective, where the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium holds 62,850, so you know, it's a very, very small ground. There are actually bigger stadiums in England, such as York City, Exeter, Raith, Leyton Orient, Grimsby. Could you know, they've got a double capacity to this place, but it's very, very small. And to answer your question, when I arrived yesterday, walked from the airport and literally walked past the stadium to get into the main town centre, to the hotel. And it was very light, even at 11 p.m. You know, the photographs and the videos that I took, you'd probably think that I'd taken them, you know, early afternoon, so it's very light. It was 4 degrees this morning. It's 8 degrees now, but when the game kicks off, it'll be 7 degrees. So it's not actually that bad, but it's a very, very quiet place. The people are extremely friendly. But I can tell you now that every single fan I've spoke to, they are extremely confident about this game. I went on a hike earlier up the mountains and I bumped into one fan, and he actually said, we have the advantage over you. And I said, well, we're 3-1 up from the first leg. And he said, we're playing on a plastic pitch and you're not going to like it.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, are you worried about the plastic pitch? Because, you know, I've played on a couple before, and you know, I'm not an elite sportsman, far from it, but I've never massively noticed the difference. But a lot is being made of it from, you know, managers and whenever it comes up. Are you concerned about that? And are you concerned about sort of injuries? Because you know, there's been some sort of research and studies to suggest more injuries can happen on artificial pitches if they're not sort of good enough. So is that something you're worried about?
Oh, Max, the amount of injuries that we've had at this football club this season is just simply incredible. We can't have any more injuries, but you know, their win rate at home in European competitions, 70%. You know, they play extremely well at home, and that is why their fans are extremely confident about this game this evening. And interestingly, last week at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you know, when we were 3-0 up, everyone was absolutely buzzing, and then we conceded that goal, and the mood went down a level. And you know, when the players were coming off the pitch, the Bodø players were seeming happier than the Spurs players. The fact that like they hadn't conceded too many for them to get the job done. But you know, this is such a huge opportunity for the football club. You know, we have had such a poor season in the Premier League, and you know, to finish it off this season with a trophy and win the Europa League would just be a dream come true. Because you know, as we all know, as you guys on TalkSport talk about day in, day out, you know, the trophies are way, way overdue at Spurs. 17 years without one. We haven't won a European trophy since '84. And, of course, always says that he puts a trophy in the cabinet in his second season. I would love to see him deliver it.
Yeah, I mean, on that idea of sort of Spurs' season, look, it has been a terrible season. And, you know, I don't need to teach you how to suck eggs, etc. But, I mean, what about this discussion around if Spurs win the Europa League, they've had a better season than Arsenal, who obviously can't win a trophy and might end up finishing third despite being in second all season. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's an argument there. You know, people talk about Spurs in European competition. It's hard to win trophies. I think if you spoke to, you know, any Arsenal fan, they'll tell you how hard it is to win European trophies because they just simply don't do it and they foul year in, year out, which of course they did last night. But, you know, I'm not here to talk about Arsenal. I'm here to talk about Spurs. And, you know, of course I want my team to do well. But if we put a trophy in the cabinet, Spurs could have had such a bad league season. Yes, Arsenal could finish second, third or fourth. But if we put a trophy in the cabinet, I think without question or doubt that we've had a better season.
So other than the sort of nerves that late Bodo Glimt goal sort of gave to maybe fans and some of the players, presuming you get to the final, and I don't believe in jinxing anything, but presuming you do, how do you feel about United? Because your record's been pretty good against them this season.
It has, and a lot of Spurs fans are worried about that. Of course, we've played them 3 times this season. We've won every single one, but of course, the game that matters the most, of course, we want to win that. But of course, we've got to, without sounding like a manager, sit on the fence here. We've got this game to play first. We win this one. If we do face Manchester United in Bilbao, it would just be, a hell of a journey, and I'm sure it'll be a great game, and I'm sure that Spurs will go on to win the Europa League. But like I always say, day in, day out, certainly on my podcast, that these players, they've got such a huge opportunity to be heroes.
Yeah.
We haven't had a trophy for so long, and they've got to give absolutely everything. It's a big loss without Bergvall and Maddison, who are now out for the remainder of the season. And Son, of course, hasn't travelled, so we are lacking in creativity for the season, but we've got to get the job done. And Postecoglou has got to get the job done. These players have to deliver, and hopefully it will be a great night. And ironically, 6 years ago today, we had that special night in Amsterdam, going through to the Champions League final, and 6 years later, we've got the chance to go into the Europa League final.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredibly exciting for you, particularly because sort of how disappointing this season's been, and to win something and get yourself into a final would just sort of give you that reprieve that I'm sure you feel like you deserve as fans who go week in, week out paying your money, and it's been how it has been. But with Maddison out, with Bergvall out, they're 2 players that can, they've got that ability to do something special, to play that cutting pass, to, particularly with Maddison, get an important goal. We saw him score in the first leg. Who are you looking to in the Spurs squad to pull something out the bag, whether it's in this semi-final or in the final, should you get there?
I think we've got to be looking at Dejan Kulusevski. He's had such a good season. Of course, he spent a little bit of time out injured as well, but, players like Tell, it's not a given that he's going to be a Spurs player next season. He's still on loan from Bayern Munich, so he's got to deliver as well. You've got Dominic Solanke up front, who we know that can score goals, but you've got to have that supply. But as I say, every single player, no matter what lineup and Postecoglou puts out, every single player needs to deliver. So it's going to be an interesting game, but I think that we will have enough tonight to get the job done.
Ange Postecoglou, he brings home, as he promised all along, that second season trophy. You've won the Europa League.
I always win things in my second year.
Does he stay or does he go?
Matt, so I tell you what, I could talk to you about this for hours. I've got lots of pros, I've got lots of cons about it.
Have you got a list? Have you got a list with pros and cons on either side?
I haven't, but I know, because we record podcasts on this, and we literally talk for hours about it. Some people say if he delivers a trophy, a statue needs to be put outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And, most fans, which is a shame, I feel, most fans, they've lost the faith in Ange Postecoglou, and most fans would say now that they want the manager gone, which is absolutely crazy, because when back in 1984, Keith Birkinshaw delivered the UEFA Cup, he ended up going at the end of that season. Liverpool won the league, and of course Liverpool won the league this season. Could Ange Postecoglou deliver a trophy and say, there you are, see you later? It could happen.
But you think that you'd want him to stay if he won it?
I am very worried about how we approach league games. So I can't see how we can sustain that in being in the league position where we are. I feel like in cup competitions, I feel like we play a completely different way. We have been a completely different team in the Europa League. You take those performances against Frankfurt, both at home and away, they are completely different in the Premier League. Yes, we've had a lot of injuries, but we cannot play the way that we do in Premier League games. So I think I'm ultimately saying that we probably do need to change the manager in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense to me, and I think it's a really reasonable argument. But like you mentioned, it'd still be a strange turn of events should Ange Postecoglou win a European trophy with Spurs and then have to leave. But equally, it's a strange world we live in, and I think it's a really interesting point. I'd never thought of it that way, about the way you play in cup games compared to the league, and how maybe it's not sort of conducive to a successful league season. But fascinating stuff. Now, before you go, Chris, I've got to ask, obviously there's 404 Spurs fans allowed in the stadium. It's going to be interesting to see sort of you lot who I've been a couple of times to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you know, you lot who are used to the best stadium in Europe sat in a shed like that. But are there many other sort of Spurs fans just sort of travelling for the crack?
Yeah, on my plane last night, there were a number of people asking people for tickets. So there are a number of people that have travelled. It does seem a lot quieter, I must say, than usual European aways. You know, because 404 tickets, that's not a lot at all. But the away end will be absolutely buzzing tonight, and the club have given free scarves on every seat today inside the away end. So. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be absolutely buzzing and singing their hearts out for us getting into the final.
Absolutely. Chris, absolutely fantastic stuff there, mate. And I hope you go well tonight.
Thank you so much.
No worries. That's Chris Cowlin live from the Bodø Glimt training ground dugout. Absolute legend, and of course, it's going to be exciting to hear. It's going to be exciting to listen to that live on TalkSport 2. And remember, Chris just telling us there that the Bodø Glimt fans are absolutely convinced that they're going to win. I think Chris said they've got a 70% win rate at home, so that's certainly given you a reason to tune into TalkSport 2 this evening if you already thought it was a write-off, because we know Spurs can sometimes be a little bit Spursy. Right, you're listening to The Social on TalkSport 2. Next up, Twitter Corner. Simple question.
Also, just spoke to Robert Villaham, the Spurs Women boss, as the Spurs Women will be travelling away to Everton on Saturday for their final WSL game. It is a 12:30 p.m. kickoff. Anyway, this is what Robert had to say ahead of the big match.
Hi Robert, hope you're well. Just wondering what you've made of Everton this season. Of course, they're only 4 points ahead of you in the WSL play.
Yeah, I think Brian has been there for a few years, and I think they always have a very tactical approach of different flexibility in that. I think he's done some good stuff with that club, and I think they've had a lot of injuries last season. It looks like they also have invested more now since Christmas, so I think they are looking quite strong. There is one of those teams in around us that we want to beat and be better than, but right now they have had a better spring season than us, but a club with high potential, and it looks like they're going to invest even more for the next season. So there's one of those clubs that we want to make sure we beat.
Just wondered also what plans you put in place for next season.
I think when you look at the club, like we are getting a new CEO in, which will mean that the CEO will have a big impact on the next steps to make sure we improve in both sections of the field. If you look at the women's department, what we want to do, we want to make sure we are getting even better in the recruitment, to make sure we have the technical director, head of recruitment. We want to make sure we are really sharp in how we recruit players that fits the way we want to do and can make them be up running quicker when we sign them, so we make sure we can compete there. We want to keep developing the young players like Jessica Nass, Ella Morris, Lena Gunning-Williams, but also the academy players, who is the ready one to step up and be in the squad next season. We want to make sure we find ways from the identity we have, how we play, to make sure that we win more games next season. And that's going to be a part of tactical approach, but also key signings. So we're going to look at what's the key positions we need to sign players to make sure we can compete better next season. Not quantity, we want to make sure we sign quality players to make sure we strengthen the team so we can be better next season. And then it's the staff, how can we improve the environment around the players to make sure we maximize their performance and development. So we're going to look at what kind of recruitments do we need to add to the staff and around that. But there's going to be a massive work to do, but I think we like I said, we learn a lot this season, so we're going to make sure we use that to take the good decisions this summer to make sure we come back stronger next season.
Just wondering whether you could talk a little bit about Ella Morris and Monica Archer. Of course, they're up for awards.
Yeah, I think they are two great role models. First of all, because they are great footballers, and I think Lamore is that's one of the best part with this season, her journey and how she's taking steps both as a character but player. Her reward is obviously something that I think she deserve very much. Molly is the difference of being a really, really good player, but also being a role model with mental health issues and how you can be a very strong footballer living with that and developing through that. I think she's one of the coolest people I've met, the way she can actually perform every time and take steps and dare to speak out about it. So great role model, and I think she deserves that reward as well.
Lastly, from the men's team have such a huge game season in Norway. What would your message be to the squad and Postecoglou?
I mean, I'm going to wish them so much good luck tonight, and I think and I know that they're going to do a good performance and they have a really good chance to go for that final. And I think no matter what you say about Scandinavia and up north, I know that the quality in Tottenham Hotspur men's team is so high. So I'm just going to enjoy that game and see when we hopefully get the final, and then we can finish the season this year on a high with the men's team.
Great talking to you this evening. Thanks very much, and best of luck for Saturday.
Cheers.
That's Chris.
Last few weeks, because you've been on this Spurs kind of roller coaster, haven't you? And let's start with last night, because you got in late and you heard the fireworks, like pretty much everyone else in Bodø. Apparently it's just the norm. That's just what the fans do on these big European evenings.
Well, the population here is only 42,000, so I think it woke the whole neighbourhood up. But yeah, very small place, very friendly people here, apart from the fireworks, of course. But, Spurs have got to get the job done tonight.
It's so quiet here, Mike, at the moment, because pretty much everybody in the whole of Bodø is in the brewery down the road. It feels so strange, doesn't it, that this is a semi-final of a Europa League?
Well, even York City, even their stadium is bigger than this. It's a very, very small ground. Ange Postecoglou said it's a nice little ground. Yes, it's a 3G pitch in there, but as you said, it's very, very quiet. But the Bodø fans are very, very confident that they are going to get a result tonight. So Spurs, every single player needs to be up for it.
And let's talk a bit about the pitch, because when he was here with Celtic in 2022, and Bodø famously beat them 2-0 that February, he didn't train on the pitch with his players. Now, he was a little bit defensive yesterday when we talked about it, and he was asked if maybe he's learnt his lesson. What did you make of that all? Because everybody you speak to, every Bodø Glimt fan says, it's the pitch, they're going to play at such pace, it's the pitch.
Gal, I've spoke to fans today and they've actually said to me that they have the advantage in this tie. And I said,
despite being 2 down.
I said, how do you work that out? We're 3-1 up. And they've said, well, we've got a plastic pitch and you're not going to like playing on that plastic pitch. But, we played Tamworth earlier on in the season in the FA Cup. We struggled on that pitch. I feel like Ange Postecoglou has learnt from that. He's learnt from bringing Celtic here and not training on the pitch, which, of course, the players did train here last night. So I'm absolutely delighted about that. But you have to, you have to prepare for what's in front of you. We're 3-1 up from the first leg. The atmosphere last week was incredible, unbelievable. 400 fans have travelled here today. But whatever is in front of you... Are they confident? The Spurs fans, we know we've been through a hell of a lot. We haven't won a trophy since 2008, but as I keep saying, the players, do they want to be heroes or do they want to be remembered for finishing 16th or 17th in the Premier League? This is a huge opportunity. Whatever conditions are there, whether it's cold or whether it's plastic pitch, we've got to overcome all of these things and have a historic night. Same as 6 years ago, ironically today, getting the Champions League final, we want to be going in that Europa League final this evening. And
Spurs are pointing to the fact that they're wearing the same green kit. I mean, they are literally clutching at everything today. Talk to me about how this Spurs side are going to line up. I mean, we joked last week, nobody saw, you can never predict an Ange Postecoglou side, and then Richarlison starts and nobody really foresaw that. Look, we know there's no Bergvall, we know there's no Maddison. We know that there needs to be somebody in that midfield that can take hold of this game, especially if it gets a little bit ugly. How do you think he'll line up?
I think in midfield, definitely Kulusevski will come in and start the game. Of course, we've seen him this season. He's been one of our players of the season. Of course, he's had injury problems, but who hasn't at Spurs? Kulusevski, I think, needs to come in. Basuma and Bentancur in that midfield. Back four as standard. Romero, Van de Ven, Udogi, Porro, of course, Vicario in goal. And then the front line of Solanke, Tell and Johnson. Yeah. But as I keep saying, every player needs to give absolutely everything. It's not as cold as I thought it would be here. 4 degrees this morning. I think it's going to be 7 when the game kicks off.
Swirling wind apparently around this stadium that can really throw people.
Yeah. But Spurs have actually put scarves on the seats for everyone today. So get everyone going, and it should be a good atmosphere.
Good atmosphere. I'm sure it's going to be a nervy evening. It feels so strange because it is absolutely desolate here. But you just know, come kick-off, the locals have warned me, there will be more fireworks.
Gail, get yourself down to that brewery. For the moment, though, thank you very much. Well, man.
So it's been a very busy day. BBC 5 Live, Talk Sport and Sky Sports. Must be a big game. Must be a big game. Well, talking about big games, I am now walking to the stadium. The rain has just started. I'll tell you what, as I've said in all of these interviews, Spurs have to turn up, have to deliver, have to go through to that final. I know so many people who have booked to go to Bilbao in 13 days' time. Difficult conditions, but if you want to win trophies, you have to overcome all of these difficulties, get the job done and give absolutely everything. I'm walking to the stadium now. I'll see you there. So like I've said about the flags in the last couple of days, they are all over the place.
화이팅! 유사인 준결승
So Bodø Glimt 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Spurs are in the Europa League final. Ben, how are you feeling? Because I've just done an interview for your channel. I tell you what, to see us both smiling and the way that we feel right now, we don't see this very often.
No, we don't at all. And I am so hyped. I'm over the moon. I'm gassed. I can't believe it. I haven't been as happy as this as a Spurs fan probably since 6 years. 6 years till the day since we beat Ajax in that green kit, in the green kit again tonight. And you know what? Look, it wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but we got the job done. We were resolute. We got the goals. And what can I say? We deserve to be in that final. We're going to Bilbao. We're going to a European Cup final. And what happened to Arsenal last night? Arsenal. Who? Arsenal out the European Cup, and Spurs are going on to lift silverware.
That is what it was about, though, getting the job done this evening. Yes, you're right. It wasn't a pretty game, but we're in the final.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And I was saying on my channel to you before, like, if we defend as resolute as we did over the course of these 2 legs and the second half against Frankfurt, we got a very good chance of winning this tournament. Very good chance.
When you look at our league season to how we play in the Europa League, how would you describe that? Because we do seem to be a completely different team in the Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put your finger on it, but I think recently, obviously, there's been nothing to play for in the Premier League, and there's been a lot of changes and everything like that, so it's been very disjointed. But in the Europa League, there's been something to play for. You know, they've got a goal there in sight. There's been no goal in the Premier League for a while, so I think that's what it's come down to. I would like to see a bit more professionalism in the Premier League, to be honest, but I don't want to talk about all the negativity and stuff like that today. It's all about getting to a Europa League final. That's what it's all about today.
Are you all booked up?
I'm all booked up, mate.
How long? How long ago?
A while ago.
Is it the arrogance of us booking it up?
You know, I did the same in Madrid 6 years ago. I did exactly the same. I booked very early. This year I booked early, so I think you have to book early from now on.
How do you feel about facing Manchester United?
Look, it's going to be tough because Man United know how to navigate these situations. They've won 2 trophies in the last 2 years. You know, it's still Manchester United at the end of the day. But look, we've beaten them 3 times this season, so why not a 4th?
Ben, the fans today.
Oh, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just to be a part of that. Just to be a part of that was just so special, and I'm just getting shivers up my spine just talking about it now. We're on our way, people, to Bilbao. We're on our way.
How have you found Norway?
I loved it. The people are so welcoming here. They really are, and people were coming up to me after the game, like Boda fans saying, "Oh, well done, good luck in the final." And I think probably this is the most welcome I've felt at an away city in Europe. Yeah, because I think the whole city is geared up to Bodø Glimt, right? Every residential home, every shop, pretty much every building, they've got a flag of Bodø Glimt. It's like Bodø Glimt, like the national team around here. That's what it feels like.
Even when I went in to buy lunch today, I've got the flags right in my face. They are absolutely everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. So look, a lot of credit to the whole of the city. Everyone that was been so welcoming to us. We're all drinking all together, no segregation all day. And such great people here, so welcome, so happy, so just lovely people, really are.
Let me ask you about Ange Postecoglou, because he looked so happy
Last
today.
time
The smile on his face today, it meant a lot, didn't it?
Yeah. No, look, I always said when the Europa League comes around, I'm going to be fully Ange in until that moment. But look, my opinion hasn't changed on Ange Postecoglou. And I know last time I came on this channel, I said 8 out of 10 in terms of the way his tenure's gone.
I always win a trophy in my second season,
look,
mate.
If he wins the trophy, then absolute credit to him. And I'm fully behind him up until the end of that Europa League, the end of the Europa League journey. But Look, I don't want to talk about negativity today. I really don't want to talk about it. My opinion's my opinion. We're going to speak about it another time. But right now, Ange Postecoglou is delivering us, hopefully, European silverware, and that's all that matters.
Ben, we don't feel like this enough, do we, as Spurs fans?
Exactly. It's just great just to see Spurs fans hugging each other, smiles on their faces, after everything that we've had to go through all season. You know, it's been a hard slog this season, man.
It has.
And to be here, semi-final, in Norway, get through to Bilbao. I mean, what more can we ask?
Oh, we're winning it, Ben.
Yeah, we're winning it. I'm telling
we're
you.
Winning it. Come on.
We're winning
Come on,
it.
you Spurs.
Come on!
Thank you.